Hi, good evening. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous, coming to you Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, wanting to step into your life to give you hope, direction, and some tools to recover, get through divorce and after divorce. For those who've never been through it, they don't realize the trauma that it is. And one of the traumas that come with this is if you have had the experience of betrayal. So I want to cover that topic tonight because it is one that needs to be discussed, quite frankly. And all of my topics, this one included, I come not only with 16 plus years of hearing the stories of many individuals, hundreds of men and women who have gone through divorce. It is also something that I've experienced. So many topics that I discuss, I've had a firsthand experience with. And not only that, but hearing again the stories of hundreds of individuals going through the trauma of divorce. And I've seen the damage. And it is deep. The wounds are very, very deep. There can be a bitterness and an anger that can continue to reside with you for the rest of your life. And I've seen it in people who could not get over the betrayal that has happened to them. But the real question is, have you ever seen an angry or bitter person that you wanted to be around? No, of course not. I know after my divorce, my stance was, I will never be that vulnerable again. However, that statement is not healthy because to be in a relationship, a healthy, good relationship is to be vulnerable. But if you have been through betrayal, it's very different to get yourself to the place to where you can be trusting and open and vulnerable again. So I want to change this background because I don't want you to have to look at that the whole time. So let's jump over to this standard living room instead. A little bit better of a background. So I want to talk tonight about 3 different areas, actually. And as always, you have questions, comments, shoot them over. Send me a text. You've got my phone number right there. And we will certainly discuss the issue, the question that you bring up. So in talking about betrayal, I want to talk about 3 different areas, and that's the physical trauma and damage, the emotional trauma and damage, and then the spiritual trauma and damage. And this quote, I don't know who said it, but boy, it rings true, doesn't it? The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. And if you have been in a marriage relationship where you have experienced betrayal, you certainly get that, because not only was it a friend, it was your intimate partner, the one who you had made the marriage covenant with. And that makes it all the more difficult. So let's start tonight in talking just about the physical trauma of betrayal. So we think about the emotional first, but actually I think it's a physical manifestation of the trauma and the damage first, because our body reacts. This adrenaline and cortisol and all these neurochemicals come into our brain, in fact, and it actually shuts down the frontal cortex, the main command center of our brain shuts down. And that is one reason why logic does not work when you are going through the trauma of betrayal. Initially, logic is not going to work for you. What our brain does, our body does, is it shuts down, it goes into survival mode. So that's where we're at, or either freeze, flight, or fight. So our brain is off track. So how is it that we could possibly function well when our logical part of our brain is shut down? We can't. So we've gone into this survival mode. Our brain is disorganized. We are overwhelmed. We are exhausted. We are confused. We are anxious. We are agitated. And we are disassociating often. Again, we're trying to survive this hit that has happened to us, this betrayal, the pain of the betrayal. Our body is trying to get to a point to where it can handle what is happening to it. So to help us through this, we need to connect with someone physically. We need to find a safe space. Is that a friend, a pastor, a counselor? We need to connect to someone so that our body can start releasing this trauma, so our brain can get into a place that we can begin to process what is happening to us and come out of the shock, really, that we are in. And then we need to be able to identify, articulate our feelings, not ignore them, but to identify them, to speak them, to express them. And then to help our bodies, there are different things that we can do to soothe and calm our body. And this may be a rocking chair motion where we simply sit and we're moving back and forth to give it some comfort. And I know this sounds very simplistic, but it works. Our body needs comfort. Maybe it's even wrapping our arms around ourselves because we are in such shock and such trauma from betrayal. Maybe it's music, gentle music without words. And maybe it's deep breathing. When we deep breathe, our brain connects better. It is a way in which we can help our brain connect, the command center of our brain, the frontal cortex, connect so that we can think. Exercise, and of course prayer. Those things are going to be of help as for our bodies as we are going through this physical betrayal and a physical trauma damage that we are dealing with. Next, I want to talk about the emotional trauma of betrayal. So I stated this earlier, that logic doesn't work right now because our emotions, our brain is off track and we are in shock many times. And so logic, if I were to approach you with some logical solutions, you could not hear me. You could not hear me. You could not make sense of what I was telling you because logic doesn't work at this point because we are basically in shock. But we do need to hold on to something to stabilize, something strong, something that's steady. And for those with Christian faith, God is there in that moment. I know I have experienced him in that moment. He is there in that moment. And maybe for you, if you do not have faith or you are searching for faith right now, I would just ask you to reach out. Reach out to God, reach out to something strong. That may be a therapist, that may be a counselor, but you might need something immediate when you are going through the trauma of betrayal. And what you need is really to be held. You need to be held. And I'm not speaking physically right now, even though ideally, and sometimes literally, we do need to be held as we're going through the trauma of betrayal and the damage that it is doing to us emotionally. But we can be held by the presence of other people as well. Just having someone there with you. When we are alone, the only voice that we're hearing is our own, and our own can get really crazy at that point. So we need to be held with someone's presence. We need words of comfort. Not words of logic, not words of direction, just words of comfort, of compassion, of understanding right now. That's what we need. And yes, perhaps if we have a close friend, we do need to be held literally. But I want you to certainly be careful that you are having the right person in that very vulnerable moment. And then emotionally, we need to feel what we're feeling. We need to allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling, not stuff it down, not deny it, but feel it. I am so angry at what has happened to me. How dare my spouse do this to me? How dare he or she bring this other person into our sacred space? And that's exactly what they have done. When we are betrayed emotionally, we feel betrayed because they're not being who they said they were. So not only have they betrayed to us, they've lied to us. And the pain in that is just so, so deep. And we can very easily, as we're going through this emotional trauma and damage of betrayal, we can very easily move into shame by someone else's choices. And yet we will very easily move into shame for something that we did not do. But it's very natural for many of us are sensitive to, and this is a shaming event. We do feel ashamed. So it's very easy for us to move into shame. When we move into shame, we truly shut down and we withdraw, which does not help anything. Doesn't help anything. So we need to identify, I'm feeling shame right now. And then maybe if you don't have someone with you, you need to be talking through, I feel shame for something that was not my choice. I was put into this situation. I feel shame. I feel like I wasn't enough. I feel like I'm incompetent. I feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like I'm not beautiful. I'm not handsome. All of those words we need to be speaking. But those are some of the feelings that we are feeling that we need to get out. We can be also very easily led to want to retaliate, to get back at the person who has caused the damage and the harm. And I want to tell you, as much as that emotion is overwhelming, that you want to get back at that person, it is only going to hurt you further. Enough damage has been done. Enough has been done. So do not retaliate. I do have this incredible, wonderful scripture that states, do not pay back evil for evil. Don't pay it back, but focus your thoughts on what is right. Do not take revenge, but leave room for God's wrath. Let God deal with that individual. Maybe you just need to say, God, I just give them to you. I just give her to you to take care of. Protect me. Help me guard my heart. Help me be compassionate to myself. But you deal with that individual. And God does. You may not even see it, but God does. So we know as we're betrayed that our self-esteem and our self-worth has been attacked. And therefore, emotionally, we need to be compassionate to ourselves, and physically too, we need to be compassionate, but be compassionate. Oh my goodness, I say that so much to my support groups, to the people that I am coaching and working with. Be compassionate to yourself. You've got so much going on and so much just crushing down on you. Be compassionate. You need to be your best ally right now, your own best ally. And then you must seek support. You cannot go through this alone. Another one of those sayings that I say 1,000 times, find that support. It is going to take, research shows, about 18 months when you are intentionally dealing with it. If you stuff it and deny it, it's going to take you longer. But basically, it's going to take about 18 months to 2 years for you to really process through what has happened to get to the point to where you can be on the other side of this. It's what the research shows. So be sure that you are doing self-care and learn about yourself through this process. That is so very important that who am I? How am I dealing with this? What do I need right now? Do I need support? Do I need to see a therapist? Do I need to journal? Do I need to, I don't know, join a support group? Get the support that you need. What do I need to do for me to get me through this trauma? What do I need to do? And then, of course, there is not only the physical, the emotional, there's also the spiritual trauma. We have been sinned against. In the marriage covenant, two have become one, right? And whatever has happened in the circumstance, what you have here, oh, it's not going to show with my virtual background. I didn't practice this part. You have a sacred circle. I think you can see it a little bit. And that circle includes you and your spouse and no one else, and it is sacred and it needs to be protected and guarded. But someone has entered it, and someone has let someone enter that sacred circle and has broken the sacred circle. And that does incredible damage to us spiritually. And this is an area where, of course, we do need the Spirit of God. We do need, oh, that's not the verse I need. The Spirit helps us in our weakness. We are weak in this. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes with us, for us, through wordless groans. That is beautiful to me. We don't know how to pray as we have been betrayed against and sinned against. But the Holy Spirit of God actually enters into this situation, says, let me take this for you. Let me carry this for you. I will carry this to God the Father for you. I will groan in groans that do not have words for them. I will take them to the Father for you. That's what the Holy Spirit does. It is so beautiful. And He does enter into this space, and He does indeed be present with us. And if you have not understood that this journey is a spiritual journey along with a physical, emotional, legal, and every other co-parenting, all the other traumas and dealings that you have, this is a spiritual issue, a spiritual trauma. So the question that I ask here is, will I ever trust again? And that was one that was on the posting. Will I ever trust again? I feel so broken. I feel so just disoriented, confused, hurt. Well, if you work intentionally on your healing, you will get to a point to where you will trust again. Get to a point to where you can open yourself up and realize you can't control what the other person has done to you, but you can control your response to it. Guard your heart by caring for yourself. Caring for yourself means you stop blaming, you stop shaming, and you open up to a trusted person and you lay your stuff out there. You deal with your stuff. You don't deny it, stuff it, or fill yourself with pride and think, I'll push my way through this. Or many people I see, seems to be women lately, who are just saying, I'm going to become this strong B word and nothing penetrate me and nothing's going to get to me. Well, I don't think you want to live that way. I think you want to get to the point to where you can be vulnerable again with someone who is worthy of being vulnerable with. And you're going to learn through this process, I hope, so you don't repeat your mistakes again. I hope that you will learn true honesty with yourself. And I'm not saying you'll learn this again because it was you had anything to do with the betrayal. You did not. But I'm saying don't waste this experience in learning how to be totally honest with yourself. When you see the red flags, you will not deny them. You will deal with them and you will face them. So will I ever trust again? This spiritual journey needs to start with trusting God. with trusting who He is and what He wants for you. Oh, friend, I've been so amazed what God has put into my life because of trusting and opening myself up to Him. So go slow, pray for discernment, help yourself get through this by getting the support you need, find the therapist, get the support group, hear other people's story, and you think, oh my word, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. And you're not. You're just dealing with some very, very difficult stuff. So I hope, trusting again is so hard for me. Oh, Mary, I hear you. Absolutely. And I clenched my fist and I said, I will not ever be as vulnerable as I once was again. But as we're building that wall to protect us, we're also building the wall that keeps everyone else out. And our heart needs other people. So move slowly. Move slowly. Be honest with yourself. Deal with your stuff. Put it out there. Find the words to articulate what you're feeling, what you're dealing with. I am angry. I feel betrayed. I feel stupid. I feel the deepest offense. Start listing. I feel angry. I feel how dare he? How dare she? I trusted. I was the fool here. You see, I'm just vomiting out all this stuff. I'm identifying with it. I'm identifying it, and then I can deal with it. If I just stay stuck in anger or defiance, my heart's not going to heal. It's all going to be still stuck in there. And it's going to come out in other ways that are going to lead to bad things. So use this betrayal as a place in which to launch a healthy life from. This is not the end of your story. This is a very messy and difficult transition to the other side of divorce. And the other side of divorce, my friend, you write. No one else but you and God write it out. And you get to write the ending. You get to write the ending. Thanks for being here. I know I went, a little long. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce. Have a good evening.